Girly whirlies, we're back for episode 3. Hello, welcome back to the Weekly Wigs with me, your host Megan Wigz. Thank you for joining me on whatever day you are listening. I'm recording this on a Friday. We are feeling Funky Friday, New Music Friday. We got a lot to get into today, guys. This is going to be a very music-heavy episode. First, we'll just do a little life admin, little catch-up. Today marks a very momentous day for me. I have found a newfound freedom. I've just finished my old job, and today is my last day of work in said old job. Not going to go naming employees and companies, don't want anyone coming for me, but let's just put it politely and say that I'm very happy to be moving forward to a new chapter, and I could not be more excited to be starting a new job in a week or so. I've got a little week of freedom now, living her best life. I'm so excited. This Friday has been high energy. There's truly no greater feeling when you get to move on to just a new opportunity, a new job. I'm just feeling like revitalised, refreshed, bunch of weight just taken off the shoulder. And that is the vibes I'm feeling today. And then, it helps that it's a Friday and it's feeling like weekend party vibes are here. It'll be a party for when she's not a party gal. But I did take myself out for a cute little treat. I was like, do you know what? We got to celebrate in some way, shape or form. And my form of celebration is a cute little pastry. There are actually some sensational bakeries in Manchester. Some really nice independent bakeries that do lovely patisserie and cakes and cute little items. Shout out to La Chouquette, I think that's how you say it, in Didsbury in Manchester. They do lovely little lemon meringue tarts. I bought a really nice little pano shock to have for my brekkie tomorrow. Oh, it's just the little simple things in life sometimes that get you by. Gone are the days, of farewell work dues, leaving dues. Maybe it's because I've been working a remote job for so many years now, and I'm not sure if other people can relate to that in the sort of hybrid post-COVID world that we live in. But it's a bit anticlimactic. You have your little farewell with your colleagues over a team meeting, and then it's oh, I live on my own. This is my home, my little office. And then you finish for the day and you think, oh, that's a bit anticlimactic, isn't it? I'm not going out for celebration drinks or anything crazy like that. So my version of a little treat for myself was a little trip to the bakery. So yeah, the vibes are feeling high on this Friday, and it's also New Music Friday, which means I'm a bit more up to date now. Episode 3, we're a bit more current. If you'd listened to the last 2 episodes, you'd know that I basically had to pre-record those ones just so I could get the pod up and running. But now we're back into more current times. I've got a bit more of a regular schedule going on now. So I'm excited to talk about New Music Friday and what I've been listening to. Before I get into that, though, I just want to say I've discovered my first bit of beef in the podcast world with Spotify. I'm very much hoping that this particular episode you listen to right now has been successfully uploaded through Spotify and you're listening through your cars, on your lunch breaks, in your house, wherever it is you listen to podcasts. Because she's had a bit of a May on week 2. Week 1, the launch, went lovely. Couldn't have asked for more. I pre-scheduled everything. I pre-edited, pre-recorded. Everything was set up and scheduled to go. And it went seamlessly, which was great. And that's on all platforms. Spotify, Apple and YouTube is where you can watch and listen to the podcast. So I thought, well, great. It works. We'll do the same for episode 2. Schedule it. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Why did I come to discover on my Wednesday upload day it's not appearing on Apple or Spotify? Turns out they bloody blocked me. They tried to claim some music copyright situation. Oh, this is all really boring, jargon talk, but I'm currently going through some appeal process where I'm trying to get them to fix it. So as of right now, when I'm recording this 3rd episode, my 2nd episode is still not available on Spotify or Apple, which is really quite annoying. Thankfully, it's all good on YouTube, thank God. At least it's available somewhere. But yeah, I really hope that by the time this next episode release comes out, that we're all good to go and those matters have been resolved. So apologies for any potential delays there for anyone that was maybe looking for my pod on certain platforms. But you know what? We're a new podcast girly here. I knew there would be teething issues. We learn these things as we go. These things have never cropped up for me and I've not had to deal with them before. So This is the life of a creator. But you know what? It's all good. We'll get it sorted. The absolute failsafe, I think, is always going to be YouTube, thank God. So it's all good. In other podcast world news for me, I had my first ever socialising/network event with a bunch of podcasters from Manchester, which was so exciting. One thing that I've been really trying to tackle since coming to Manchester and making my move a year ago is finding a good circle of friends, a nice bit of social life. And I've also been really trying to find some more sort of creative people. And you know what? I'm not going to lie. It's a challenge. Like, I feel like I'll probably do an entire episode about just moving, coming to Manchester. I think actually I might be able to have my first guest on the pod when we do that episode. My friend Josie, shout out Josie. We did a little testing on her the other day. She lives in Barcelona, and I was like, if you're going to be my guest, how's that going to work remotely? So we did a bit of beta testing, and we were having a little chat about what would we do as our pod episode. And she's from Cardiff originally and had a very big move over to Barcelona in Spain. And I've obviously taken a big leap in the last year and moved from Wales to Manchester. You know, not quite the same as her Barcelona journey, but same kind of topic, isn't it? So we were like, we could have a really good discussion about that. So that episode is going to come out soon. We're going to get that planned. So I'll go into more detail just about like friendships and trying to create a circle when you move to a new area. But in that vein, I was just really thrilled to finally see something that was like relating to the podcast world and just mad timing. Like, of all the weeks, like the week after my pod launch so happens to be an in-person event, which usually is actually a virtual event. And I thought, what are the bloody chances? So I went along, met some nice people. We had a good little chit chat. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not the best in big social groups. Like, I really quite struggle with it. I much prefer being in smaller groups of people. My social battery can be quite low after a while. But I was like chatting away. There was 15 people there. So yeah, moves. We are making moves. We're meeting people. Who knows what those connections could lead to. Maybe we'll have some new podcast friends or some future guests. And I'm excited to see where that goes. So yeah, that's just all like the life admin going on right now. We're in a positive place in life. Please feel free to like interact with me in any of the comment boxes on any of the platforms. Would love to have some feedback on what maybe you thought of the first 2 episodes. As someone who's, you know, pretty new to this, I do welcome like some constructive criticism as long as it's kind. And really more than anything, it would just be nice to know of any potential topics you'd be interested in hearing me talk about or things that you like to hear discussed. Because I'm such an open book. Like, I sort of mentioned this in the first episode. Like, this podcast is really all about quite a variety of chit chat. I don't want to pigeon my hole. I don't want to pigeon my hole. No, I don't want to pigeonhole myself to only talking about just one niche topic, because I feel like that restricts me a little bit. So I'm happy to have a little chit chat about all sorts of topics. As we've already discovered, even just within the first 2 episodes, I've been going on story times, talking about university life, personally delving into mental health experiences. Like, I feel like we're getting a lot under the belt already. I've definitely got a few sort of themed podcast episode ideas lined up. Like, I definitely would like to do an episode about like women's health. I actually recently watched an amazing episode on what's his name? Stephen Bartlett, The Diary of a CEO. I don't know if you've ever heard that podcast, but he has a lot of these like round table episodes where he gets like professionals from certain industries and they'll talk about like a certain topic. And his most recent one was this really interesting roundtable discussion about women's health, all things sort of fertility, PCOS, endometriosis. And there was a big discussion about the lack of funding and research into women's health problems. And I can so relate to that from someone who's personally got PCOS and a multitude of other things and thyroid this and hormone this and that. And I know a few women in my life who have gone through similar experiences. I think it's a lot more common than we think. So it'd be really good to get like some guests on to have a little chit chat about those type of topics and our experience with it. If anyone's listening who wants to maybe get involved in that, just drop me a DM, an email, whatever, and I'd be happy to chat. So there we go. That is our little admin section done for today's town hall meeting. Mayor of Yap City would now like to kindly move on to today's agenda, which we're going to do some heavy music focusing today. Like I said earlier on, it's New Music Friday. And the two albums that I've been listening to today, which is giving me life, we've got Lily Allen. Lily Allen, what a queen. She's come back with an album after 7 years since her last one. I have always been a big fan of Lily Allen. I love her songwriting style. She's very sort of comedic with her writing. She's very sort of tongue-in-cheek, straight-talking. She has a certain way of just being really direct in her lyrics. And I think that's why she's been so successful over the years. But she's kind of taken a bit of a hiatus in recent years. She got into acting, I think, didn't she? And was on, not Broadway, what's it bloody called? In the West End, she did some sort of, was it a theatre play called Ghost Story? And I think she was nominated, or she won an Olivier award. Olivier, is that how you say it? An Olivier, some sort of high industry award for theatre plays. And I know she had moved to America and she had a family over there. Well, more about that in a second, because it links to this new album. So yeah, she's kind of been out with the music industry for quite some time. I think from what I've ever seen of her on interviews and stuff, I think she struggled a bit with like substance abuse and mental health problems. She's probably taken like a step back out of public life quite so much, which is fair enough. But this gal, oh my God, she has come back fighting. So Miss Lily Allen has had quite the turmoil in her personal life as of late, and she recently divorced from her husband. I'm not going to lie, I didn't know who this man was. I guess he's an actor, an American actor who's in Stranger Things. David something his name is. And I guess they've been married for about 5 years, recently divorced. And this album is like, quite frankly, I think one of the greatest breakup albums I've ever heard in my life. It is so good. The storytelling is quite heartbreaking, but it's done so perfectly in this album. And she's very scathing. Like I said, it's very black and white, straight to the point language. Like conversational language that we would have if we were having a chat now. It's not giving like Taylor Swift, tortured poets department, whimsical type of language. No, it's giving, you're a sex addict, you cheated on me and I hate you. I love that. I am personally of that style of songwriting and songs. Love it very much. And so this album is a complete, I was going to say a love letter, the complete opposite, in fact, a complete hate letter to her ex-husband. And she's very candid in her details about the fact that he basically was cheating and sleeping with like multiple women and prostitutes and all this kind of stuff. The basis of what I can gather from the songs and the storytelling of the entire album is that she was in a quote-unquote open marriage, or a very reluctant open marriage, of which she wasn't really into, trying to be the perfect wife and cater to his needs, and apparently agreeing to some arrangements where the husband could go and sleep with other women. But then I think it sounds like it was a whole mess, and it was a lot more than just sleeping with other women. And it sounds like this man had like a total double life, and she's basically pouring her heart out about that experience. And it's a very good listen. There's a good few standout songs on there. I feel like this is going to get demonetized, but there's one called Meow Palace. I won't say the actual word just in case YouTube tries to bloody strike me or something. But it's a really, really candid song about how she went to some apartment that I guess they had shared, like a separate apartment. And it was basically just like a full sex dungeon. And she was really confused, like, what on earth is this? So that's quite a standout song on the album. Definitely go take a listen to it. If you're into pop, if you like a bit of sassy girl power, it's a great album for that. If you've been through a breakup and you're looking for some solace in that, go listen to that album because it's great. So 10s out of 10s for me on that one. It's called West End Girl. And then the second album I've listened to today, big fan, Miss Demi Lovato, coming at us with like a Charlie XCX Brat-esque vibe. Like, this girlie is in the club, and I'm here for it because I've been a big fan of Demi Lovato for a long time, and I feel like she doesn't get the credit she deserves. We all know she's a great vocalist, but for some reason, Demi Lovato has become one of those very meme-ified pop girlies over the years for various reasons. And she's very open about like all the struggles and the journey she's been through if you've ever watched like any of her interviews and documentaries. And she's a very versatile artist. She really switches her genres up quite a lot. Like her last era was a full rock album, proper emo. Prior to that, she did a bit more like R&B, pop vibes. And so this time round, it's a very new sound for her, where she's going very like dance, electronic, in the club vibes, which I am personally very here for. I would say dance, R&B, pure pop is like always my go-to in music. I love something, and a bit of rap actually. I really gravitate to very high energy music. I have moments in life for subdued country vibes, like Adele style ballads, piano, a bit of rock here and there. Like I can really be quite versatile in what I listen to, but my go-to really is always like a high energy song that you can just bop to. Do you know what I mean? I want to be feeling elevated vibes when I'm listening to music, and I'm not often drawn to the more like melancholy Taylor Swift type stuff, you know? So this new album of hers is called It's Not That Deep, and I listened to it earlier on today, and it's got some bops. Oh my god, it's giving like Brat Girl Summer, but it's basically going to be Demi Girl Winter, I think, because I certainly am all for this during the winter months. Like, Demi Lovato, bring me out of my winter depression. Thank you so much, girl. There's one song that really stands out to me, and it's called Frequency. I have been listening to that song all day today on loop. If that doesn't reach my top 10 in the Spotify rap this year, I'll be very surprised. But it's just like a... I love it so much. So yeah, big fan. I wouldn't say as an entire album that it's the most like cohesive piece of work. It feels a little bit bitty in places. Some of the tracks are like really high energy boppy, and then it kind of just occasionally drops into a much lower frequency, pardon the pun, sort of sound, which sometimes can be a bit like, it's a bit jarring. Whereas the Lily Allen one has got this very like thorough feeling throughout the entire album, and it all sort of like feels like there's just a big bow on top of it, and it all marries together. Also, not the pun, because she's now not married. She's full of puns today, what can I say? But yeah, those are the two current albums on my radar. That would be my recommendations via New Music Friday. If I was having a look at my Spotify, let's see what else I've got on my current songs. I think I'm going to make this like a bit of a frequent segment of like, what's the new songs of the week, or what have I got on my playlist right now? If you've got any fun song recommendations for me, again, let me know in the comments. I would love to know what you're all listening to. So let's have a look here. So in my Spotify, of course, we've got Frequency by Demi Lovato. That is very much up there right now. I am still really quite enjoying The Fate of Ophelia by Taylor Swift. I'm going to be so real. I am not a Swiftie, okay? Don't come for me, Swifties. I don't hate the gal. I think she's very talented, but she's just not my kind of vibe. But I will say, Fate of Ophelia, very bloody catchy. Probably because it's a bit more up my street, got a bit more of a boppy vibe to it. It's got a catchy sort of pop hook. So yeah, Fate of Ophelia, that's on my like list right now. I'm also still listening to Tit for Tat by Tate McRae. Tate McRae is definitely my newest obsession. Like, in this last year or so, she has like become my number one artist. I am obsessed with that girl. She is so good. I think the reason I like her so much is because she feels like an embodiment of like a Britney for me. And Britney was always my like number one pop diva queen throughout most of my life. Like, I had a full obsession with her at one point. Could probably go down that rabbit hole on another day. But there's something about Tate McRae. She's almost like a reincarnation of Britney. Like, I mean, truthfully, no one's ever going to obviously compare to Britney, because Britney's like one of a kind, but she has a similar nature to her. Like, she's a really amazing dancer. She's sort of one of those triple package kind of people, like the dancing, the singing, the before, like she's just kind of got it all. And I like her personally because she does a lot more like R&B vibey songs, and I like her vocals in that sense. So yeah, we're listening to a bit of Tate McRae recently, big fan of her. What else am I listening to? Those are kind of my main songs at the minute. We're just always here for the pop girlies. You'll probably find going forward, whenever I do this segment, it'll generally always be a pop girly. Like, I just think it's my go-to. Such a go-to for me. So, there we go. Okay, so this is going to take us into our next segment, and this is my main discussion today, okay? We're going to do a breakdown of concerts, okay? I firstly just want to say, I've got a bit of a rant of the day here, okay? Well, it's not just of the day, it's of life. I am going to need someone to have a word with Ticketmaster and all the people in this globe that sell concert tickets, okay? Because what do you mean concert tickets are costing like a minimum of £100 these days? I can't get over the atrocities of what is going on in the world of concerts and live entertainment. It's so shocking. I think a lot of it is to do with the fact that Ticketmaster are just a complete monopoly. Like, they've just taken over the entire industry, and they're the ones setting the rules. And they've got these ridiculous rules around, like, dynamic ticket pricing, which is such a scam. I can't believe they even get away with it. But it's all to do with, like, supply and demand. So whereas, back in the day, you used to just go to a concert and there would be set tiered prices. Yeah, you pay a little bit more to maybe be close to the stage, or sometimes you actually used to pay a bit more to have a seat, depending on who the artist was. VIP packages, all that kind of stuff, right? But now they have this like tiered seating, dynamic pricing situation where, quite frankly, it doesn't matter where you are in the arena. It's all to do with like the supply and demand. And if you're one of the lucky ones who gets in straight away, say on a pre-sale, which that in itself is very difficult to do these days. Anyone who's ever tried to purchase a concert ticket in a pre-sale queue and you're just sat there watching the little queue ticket go by going, you are number 60,451 in the queue. And you think, oh, I got no chance, have I? But unless you get lucky and you get in on sort of the first day where they have these sort of set fair prices. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as saying they're fair because they're still very expensive, but quote unquote normal prices, shall we say. But then the minute that sort of part of a sale is over and they chuck you into a general sale and the more and more tickets that get sold whilst everyone is scrambling for what's left, like the Hunger Games of concert tickets, the dynamic pricing means that it just rockets up to like astronomical prices. And that can be the same, like, closer to the day as well. So when there's less tickets in demand, and say last minute you might think, oh, so-and-so's in town, let me see if there's any tickets. Because there's so few left, they will mark those tickets to, like, just crazy prices. Recent example of that is Lady Gaga. I noticed she was on her tour in Manchester a couple of weeks ago. I thought, I'm going to have a little nose, see what's going. Would love to go see her. I've seen her a few times before, but, I mean, whenever Gaga's in town, you go see Gaga, if you can. I go onto Ticketmaster. I was horrified to see that the only available tickets was, and this was just a basic seated ticket, like middle tier, wasn't like anything fancy. Do you want to know how much it cost? I'll tell you how much it cost. 560 Great British pounds. 560. I'm so sorry. What do you mean? Like the cost of a flight to America to sit in a concert hall and watch Lady Gaga sing for 2 hours? Like, I'm so sorry. What the fuck? Like, that drives me insane. And I think that is truly the dynamic pricing situation, because there's no way the people obviously paid that when they initially sold them. I think, from what I was seeing online, different examples of people stating the prices that they paid. Like in the pre-sale, it was more around the £100 mark, which is still ludicrous, but that's of the norm these days. But £560 is just criminal. And they get away with it. And it just makes me so mad. I'm like, you're making concerts so inaccessible to all people. And I can't imagine actually how insanely infuriating that must feel for the artists, because you know they didn't choose those prices. Like, they haven't set them at that price point. And they just don't have any control over it. And we all are just beholden to whatever Ticketmaster decides. And because there's, like, not really any other competition, we don't have a choice in the matter. And it just makes me so sad, because I'm going to go on in a sec to just talk about like my top 10 concerts and a bit of a concert ranking discussion. But like, I was a girlie who grew up really fortunate that like I got to go to a lot of concerts. But back then, it wasn't that expensive, like in relative terms. I used to be able to see so many pop girlies in like big concerts for maybe like £40. And like, I'm not being funny, it shouldn't be much more than that these days. I feel like £60 should really be your maximum for like a basic arena concert. Like, I'm talking your London O2s, your standard pop girl like a Sabrina Carpenter or an Olivia Rodrigo. Not like, we should not be looking in the hundreds to go see people in concerts these days. And it just makes me sad, because I cherish so many amazing memories and fun times going to concerts, especially when you're younger. Like, a lot of young teenagers and young people love to go to concerts. Of course they do. I still love doing it as an adult. But like, to make that so inaccessible to people just makes me sad for like people missing out, you know? And also just kind of makes me mad for some of the smaller artists as well, because, you know, your Gagas of the world, she's probably going to be fine, you know? Like, if her ticket sales get hit, she's probably not going to suffer that much because she's a huge artist and she's a millionaire. But like, a lot of these smaller artists who we probably know and love, but they're not as like super rich as the big A-listers, like, they're really struggling to put on concerts and go to tours, because the astronomical costs alone of like putting on a concert these days is so much. But then they're probably making like no profits on the tickets either. And I can't imagine they're like selling out much of their concerts anyway, because respectfully, who's going to pay like such high amounts to go to like smaller names, truthfully? I was actually looking earlier on at a podcast show. It's a podcast called The Rest is Politics with Alistair Campbell and Rory Stewart. And I listen to that podcast occasionally, and I wouldn't mind seeing that live. I think that would be really interesting to see live. And it's coming to Manchester, to like one of these O2 style venues, which isn't like a big arena. I think that's more of like a theatre-esque kind of place, like 5,000 capacity maybe, I'm not entirely sure, but it's a lot smaller than your standard concert arena. And I looked on for a ticket. I'm so sorry, why was it between £60 and £70? Like, with all due respect, as much as I appreciate that podcast, it's a live podcast. Who's paying £70 to go and watch a live podcast show for an hour? I don't care who the podcast is. It doesn't compute with me, and I'm finding it so frustrating that that's the norm now. It's such a luxury to be able to afford tickets now to enjoy and experience a concert, and it feels like you have to be really selective with who you go see and what experiences you get out of it. And I just think, come on, someone's got to sort this out. I don't know if it's the government or what, but someone's got to look into that and be like, hey, you're going to decimate the entertainment industry, singers, artists, all the touring staff that come with it. That's like just an entire industry in itself being completely ripped apart because of some very greedy CEOs at the top of Ticketmaster, no doubt. And I'm not here for it. I'm not bloody here for it. But anyway, let's not focus too much on the negative. Let's go on. I'm going to do, for the rest of this episode, we're going to do a little breakdown. Like I said, I've been to a few concerts in my lifetime, so I'm going to do a little top 10 ranking of some of the best concerts that I've been to. I'm going to do some notable mentions, and then I'll also do a little moment of maybe some of the worst concerts I've been to. And I think I'll also end off on a little list of some concerts I'd like to go to. Please join in with me on this discussion as I go along. Let me know in the comments some of your opinions and thoughts. Won't be offended if you don't agree with me. We all have very different musical tastes, and that's okay. And I guess we all take different things out of concert experiences, don't we? We all are searching for different things. For me, what tends to constitute a great concert and a great memory in my mind is something with like pretty big production and someone with some strong vocals. You put those two together and it's usually a masterpiece. So we're going to start off strong. We're going to do top 10. Maybe I should do this backwards. Do you know what? We'll do a little backwards because then I can reveal the top one. Okay, number 10, let's start off. My number 10 is actually a recent concert I went to. In fact, I think it was my last concert I went to, which is Alessia Cara. She is a Canadian singer-songwriter. You probably know her best. She's fairly young. I think she's in her 30s. A lot of people know her for the cover of Moana's oh god, what's the name of that song? When the light is the same. Oh my god, what's that song called? I can't really sing it because they'll copyright me on all these platforms. But just how far I'll go. I think that's what it's called. She's pretty popular. That people love that song, understandably. But she did like the cover version of it. She also broke out with a really big song called Here. She's got a lot of good songs. She's quite like an underrated artist, I feel. She's not like a huge, big superstar, but you'll probably know her. If you give her a search, you would definitely know like one or two of her songs. But I'm a big fan of Alessia Cara. I saw her for the first time supporting Coldplay in London, and she was really good. And that's when I first got into her, and I thought, oh, I like this gal. And so it'd been like quite a few years since I've ever seen her, and she happened to be coming to Manchester. I thought, oh, perfect. So that was in quite a nice little intimate venue. I think it's called the O2 Ritz in Manchester. Very kind of like intimate small room, and she was brilliant. Like her vocals were top tier, and it just sounded amazing live. There was something, I don't know if it was the venue itself or whether it was her production, but the live sound, I can't recall a concert that I've been to that has ever sounded that good live. Just like the instruments, her vocals, perhaps it was the acoustics of that room, but it was really good. Like that alone is a reason why it's in my top 10, because the sound was sensational. So there we go. Number 10, Alessia Cara. Number 9 on the list, we're sort of going on a similar theme here in terms of really good vocalists. And I will say this person, in my opinion, is truly the greatest vocal singer that I've ever heard. Some may not agree. I know you're probably in your head thinking, your Whitneys, your Beyoncés, your Mariah Careys. That's a certain category of singer, okay? And I do not disagree that they are iconic, sensational singers. Obviously, Whitney, Aretha, you can't beat those people. However, if I was to select a more modern voice and maybe something of my personal taste, then for me, it is Tori Kelly. The talent in that woman's voice is like nothing I've ever heard in my life. And I have been a fan for many years. And she doesn't really do much touring. Like, she's not often releasing thousands of albums and doing loads of big tours. Like, she's a pretty low-key, smaller artist in that sense. And so when I saw that she was coming to Manchester, oh my God. And this was not long after I'd moved up here. You can imagine my excitement. So I saw her in a really cool little venue called New Century Hall in Manchester. Another one of those like small intimate rooms, probably no more than like 2,000-3,000 capacity, something like that, maybe less. And she was sensational. Oh my God, the vocals on that woman is just insane. She's one of those singers who can just like riff and riff and riff. A little bit like a Jessie J, but a bit smoother. Like Jessie J's like, no, 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 no. Like that's her thing, isn't it, Jessie J? Tori Kelly's like riffs are just like, it's like smooth like butter. Like, oh my God, she's really quite suited to like R&B vocals. She's done like a gospel album, acoustic vibes. Like, oh, she's just truly one of my favourite singers ever. And I loved seeing her because I knew quite a lot of her songs. It was the release of like her new album at the time, which was great. And I was like, yes, bopping along to the songs. And she was also just like fun and having a little dance here and there. Tori Kelly, number 9. Now, number 8, a little bit of an unexpected person on this list, okay? Didn't think I would envision having this person ever in my top 10 concerts in this lifetime, but I'm gonna give the position to Mr. Robbie Williams. Now, I mentioned my friend Josie earlier on. I recall the day. It was a probably gloomy, I actually don't even know what time of the year it was. Maybe it was summer, maybe it was winter, I don't know. But I do recall the day I was sat in an office job that I really didn't like, and I was bored out my brains. I had no work to do. I think I was in the transition of like searching for new jobs anyway. She was feeling a little bit miserable. It's back when I lived in Cardiff, and my friend Josie, who I'd worked with previously at other jobs, and we were still mates, she lived in Cardiff, she was working elsewhere. She drops me a message out the blue that day saying, "Girl, I got some free tickets to go see Rob Williams. Do you want to come?" I said, "Oh my God, my prayers have been answered. I'm so miserable. I got nothing planned for the day. I want to get out this stupid workplace." Perfect. You could not have timed your message more perfectly. I can't say I would have ever had an active interest in seeking out a Robbie Williams concert, but I thought, well, it's a free ticket, isn't it? Why not? And you know what? It ended up being a sensational concert. I was so taken aback and impressed by Robbie Williams. Obviously, we all know like some of his old hits, and of course he performed those. And I didn't know like his entire catalogue of what he was performing, but it was such a feel-good concert. And it was in a stadium as well. It was in the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff, which is like a 75,000 capacity. And it was like sold out. And he really was just a great showman. Of course he had like, you know, good vocals and good songs and some hits to sing along to. But I think it was the feel-good nature of his show that was memorable to me. And because it was like with my bestie and we were just like, oh, we were waving our arms, and it was just like a really wholesome, cute little night that was just really unexpected. I think if I'm being honest, I had very low expectations. So I was like, shit, okay, pop off Robbie Williams. And from my memory, I think he like brought his dad on stage as well, which was like a really cute moment. So yeah, kudos to Robbie Williams. So that's why he makes my top 10. Moving on to number 7, it is, well, it pains me to kind of say this now because it turns out she's like a raging Trump supporter, which like makes me very sad. But alas, we'll put the politics aside, okay? And we have to focus on the vocal and the performance. But it's going to go to Carrie Underwood, who is a country superstar. She recently performed at Trump's inauguration when he became president again. No offence, it was slight karma because her microphone cut out. You've got to go YouTube this. It's quite a funny moment. It's one of those like viral moments. But oh, that must have been like in her head, this is my big moment. I'm singing at Trump's inauguration. And then it all went downhill. But I'm sad because, look, little politics side tangent here, okay? I'm not going to be making this entire podcast about politics, but I'm not scared to share my opinions in general. But, like, I don't think it's a secret that most of us are not a big fan of Donald Trump. I don't like his policies. I don't like the way he treats people. I don't like his low-key dictatorship that's going on. I think the world is a worse off place when he's in power for many reasons. And obviously, I think most of us can agree it was a bit of a sad time when he got re-elected for the second time round. I don't think anyone thought that could happen again, but it did. And so to my horror, when I found out that one of my favourite singers, Carrie Underwood, was scheduled to be singing at his inauguration, I felt so disappointed. I thought, what the hell, girlie? Come on! I think just woman to woman, knowing what Trump's experiences and track record is against all things women, I personally find it very baffling to understand how another woman can support a person like that. It really just doesn't compute to me. And so I just feel like I look at her in a very different way now, which makes me very sad. However, I will be giving her the number 7 spot because let me tell you, she was great. She was great. Again, I didn't know all of her songs. I knew a few of her hits. I saw her in the Cardiff International Arena, now known as the Motorpoint Arena. It is like a great venue, that one is. It's a small arena. It's maybe 5,000 capacity, something like that. So you get an amazing view wherever you are in that arena. And she was giving vocals. Like, that is, next to Tori Kelly, I will say Carrie Underwood is a strong, strong singer. One of the strongest, most powerful singers I think I've ever heard, especially live. So that kind of blew me away, that concert did. And she was like, her visuals were good. She had like cool costumes. And I went with my mum. And it's like me and my mum's thing is like, she loves country music. And it's like sort of a fond pastime of mine where we're like taking car rides and listening to cute little country songs. And that's where she discovered Carrie Underwood, was through me playing Carrie on the playlist. And so I think I actually maybe got her tickets for like Christmas or something. I think that's what we did. And so it was just like a cute little wholesome night, and it was like me and my mum, and we're just enjoying the Carrie concert, and yeah, it was a good time. So that goes on my number 7 spot. Number 6, shout out to the Spice Girls. Spice Force 5. Oh, the Spice Girls. I mean, come on, I'm a 90s girl. Of course I grew up with the Spice Girls, absolutely worshipping these ladies. Girl power, am I right? Weirdly enough, I don't actually know if I ever saw the Spice Girls when I was a young girl in the 90s. I can't remember. Maybe I did. I'd have to check with my parents, but I don't think I did. Maybe like we just couldn't afford it at the time, or maybe they didn't come to Cardiff. I highly doubt they came to Cardiff, to be honest. But I did go and see them twice on their separate reunion tours. The first one was in 2009, I believe, at the London O2. And that was a big deal back then because the Spice Girls, it had been so many years since they disbanded. So that was a huge deal. And it was all 5 of them, including Victoria Posh Spice, which, like, she never sings. So that was a big deal, the fact there was all 5 of them. And I remember having the time of my life. Me and my mum, bless my mum, she always used to take me to all my concerts. And we went up to the London O2, which was not like an easy journey. And I can already like see it in my mind. Like that the opening scene, shall we say, was sort of this platform, and it was all white on the screen, and then one by one they like popped up, and oh, you can imagine me as like, how old was I in 2009? I think I maybe was like 15, 16 years old. And I was losing my mind. It was so good. I actually think I've got very grainy footage. I wonder if I can find it and you're watching the video element, I'll pop it here. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to be able to find it, but one of my old OG YouTube channels used to just be full of my concert videos. I used to be that girly that was just obsessed with like taking videos of everything when I was at a concert. I think I slightly regret that now because I much more appreciate being in the moment when I go to concerts these days. But back in the day, it was like, oh my God, I gotta take pictures, gotta film it. And I do think I have got some grainy footage of that Spice Girls intro. I'm pretty sure I do. So if I do, it'll be on this screen. But that was a great time. And then fast forward to 2019, I think it was, they had another reunion tour. This time it was without Posh Spice. But, I had the time of my life at that concert. It was me and my sister-in-law, Fran. Shout out, Fran. We had a great time. We got Spice Girls shirts. It was like little girl squad. We'd gone to like a bar beforehand that was just like blasting like pop girly songs. And this time it was an arena tour. So it was big crowds, big atmosphere. And I knew every song. I just loved every moment of that concert. It was such amazing vibes. And of course, the Spice Girls always encompass just like positivity, peace, girl power. Like, what better vibes can you truly ask for at a concert? Especially if you have been a 90s girly that has grown up in that. Like, it's the most nostalgic, beautiful feeling. And I would pay a lot of money to go to that again. I truly would. The production's great. They had so many amazing dancers. And it did perform well in an arena, I thought. Like a big outdoor arena as well. So, and I do recall towards the end of the concert, they did like a "We Are Family" and like the Sister Sledge song. And it was, immaculate vibes. So I very thoroughly cherish the Spice Girls concerts. Okay, now we're entering the top 5. Okay, we're going to the big players now. Number 5, I've got Miss Britney Spears. Okay, another person I was deeply obsessed with throughout most of my childhood into teenagehood was Miss Britney Spears, the icon, the queen, the princess of pop. It's Britney, bitch. We love Miss Britney. You know, these days, Britney's been struggling a little bit, and I feel kind of bad for her, and her entire personal story is just for another episode, I'm sure. If you've never read her memoir, her book, Gal has been through some trauma, and I do feel really quite sorry for Britney Spears because what a tragic sort of classic Hollywood story of how she's been treated over the years. But sort of her personal life stuff aside, I will say What a performer. Like, there's a reason why she's so iconic. And I know she lip syncs and has most of her damn career. But I just didn't care. I'm so sorry. Like, I couldn't have cared less that she was lip syncing because her performance and her dancing and production was so top tier that it just didn't matter. And also, I feel like maybe I give Britney Spears a pass because she's so iconic and because I've seen her progression through the years. I know that she can actually sing, and there was a time where she did used to do lots of live vocals. So I try not to nag on her too much for being a bit of a lip syncer, because honestly, I would rather just hear the track anyway. Like, it's an absolute bop. Like, most of her tracks are just absolute bops anyway. So the first time I saw her was her circus tour in London '02, and this was a big deal at the time because it was her first big tour back, kind of after her big sort of quote-unquote meltdown and everything that happened to her in 2007. She'd gone through like a really bad public time. It was sort of the time where she'd divorced from K-Fed. Oh, by the way, slight tangent. Can we just talk about what an absolute leech Kevin Federline is? Britney Spears' ex-husband, now releasing a tell-all book, basically slating the woman, terrible mother, this and that. The only reason he's bringing that book out is because his child support payments have stopped now that his kids have turned 18 or whatever. And I just think it's very sad that he's like ripping her to shreds. But anyway, that's by the by. She divorced that loser. She went through her probably traumatic healing experience. She got hounded by the paparazzi, poor woman. She had a bit of a mental breakdown, understandably. And then, of course, we all saw, like, the recovery from that, her glow up, her big return. And that was the Circus era. The Circus album is a great album by Britney. Some really sensational pop songs on that album. And so, as you can imagine, the Circus tour came with circus production. It was great. It is the most unique stage I've ever seen at a concert. It was like a full circle stage, smack bang in the middle of the arena. So everyone just got like a great view. There was no sort of, like, it wasn't just like a square stage. It wasn't like far at the back. It was just bang smack in the centre of the room. Everyone just around this big circle. And the entrance is iconic. And she comes down on like a little lift thing in her circus ringmaster sparkly jacket, and she's got the whip and like something crazy on her head. And oh my god, I don't think I've experienced screams from a crowd like that when she entered the room. Like, that is just truly her status and how iconic she is. And I was gagged and gooped. I was like, whoa, that is star power right there. And that was the first time in my life ever seeing her as well, which is shocking. I can't believe I never saw her as a kid. But again, probably similar to the Spice Girls. I just don't think anyone of that stature, unfortunately, ever came to Cardiff where I lived. So I never got to see some of the big names. So obviously seeing her later in life, oh my god, you could imagine the excitement. And that was just a top production concert. Like, the dancing, all the props. She had so many props and outfits and set changes. And it was really like very storytelling. And there were so many different segments of the concert. It was a real big production. And it followed this storyline. And it was just, oh, no notes. I would do anything in a heartbeat to step back in time to watch the circus tour. It was so good. So number 4, loosely based on the Britney vibes here, Miss Tate McRae, another recent concert of mine, first time seeing her live, absolutely love the gal. Once again, it was giving Britney vibes. Her dancing, oh my god, Tate McRae is that girl. Like, she is that girl. She is a sensational dancer. She actually started her career in dance. She's been one of those like dancer girlies from a very young age, like competitively dancing, like through competitions. I think she was on some program called like So You Think You Can Dance, or not Dancing with the Stars. Oh, I don't know. It's some kind of popular dance show that they have in America. And she was on that from a very young age, like a contemporary dancer. And so this gal knows how to move. But she's also got great vocals. She's a really good songwriter too. I feel like she just doesn't get the credit that she deserves, because she's got some like really sad ballads, but that are really nice. And she's just like a complete all-rounder, which is why I'm such a big fan. It's so exciting to see like the fresh new pop girlies of today, like bring in sort of a revitalised version of what I maybe grew up with as a kid. That's what I love the most about just like the music industry, pop artists, concerts. It's getting to almost relive that nostalgia of your younger age through like new eyes and through new people. And Tate McRae is like really up there for me with that. And I think the thing I like about her the most is because a lot of her songs is quite inclined to be sort of R&B vibes as of late. And I'm a really big fan of that kind of music. So this tour was called the Mispossessive Tour. It was gag-worthy. Her dancers, oh my God, so good, the dancers. Again, very similar to like a Britney vibe. You got the production. I wouldn't say actually that she didn't quite have much storytelling going on in her particular show, but it was so visually capturing. It was just like the pyro, the lights, the choreography of the dancing and the numbers is what just blows you away. And she's got like a really strong performance energy to her. So yeah, I'm absolutely going to see her again in this lifetime. 10 out of 10. So Miss Tate McRae, she really did that. Really did that. Okay, we're into the big players now. This is it. This is the top 3, okay? Number 3 is going to go to Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga is just truly an icon, a performer of our generation. She is up there with the Mariahs, the Beyoncés, Madonna. Like, she's just impeccable. She's been another one of those artists that I've fully grown with as her career trajectory has grown too. She first came onto the scene back when I would have been a teen in school. Just Dance, we all remember that song coming out. It was like a talking point in school. I remember that so clearly. We always used to talk about like all the new Gaga songs and all the new music videos she was releasing. Like truly iconic status from a very young age. And I can, to this day, remember the first time I saw her, I still can't get over was her start in life. Goes to show her growth. I first saw Lady Gaga as a support act for the Pussycat Dolls. Can you believe? And I'll note to you, not even the first support act. Pussycat Dolls had 2 support acts on their tour, which was a bit bizarre, but they did. It went Pussycat Dolls, Neo, if you remember Neo, the R&B singer. And then below Neo was Lady Gaga, and she had a scrap of the stage. You know what it's like in arenas where they have the big curtain that obviously blocks off the main stage for the main act. And then they give the support act like a little portion of that stage usually. And Lady Gaga was there in her crazy outfits. I think at the time she probably only had like maybe Just Dance and Poker Face out at the time. Like now some of her biggest hits. And she was bopping away on this tiny portion of stage. And it's so funny to think now that was her like start, you know? I guess everyone's got to start somewhere, haven't they? But how she has superseded everyone now, it's crazy. So that was the first time I saw her. I think, honestly, not even a year later, because her projection in her career was astronomical, like very quickly. I saw her on her own tour, also in Cardiff. I think it was the Monster Ball or something like that. It was between like her first and second album. Great show, great production. Remember enjoying that a lot. And then the third time I saw her was maybe another year or 2 later in the London O2. I think I was a little bit drunk at that concert, so it was a little bit of a blur for me, but I still recall it just being like a fun time. Because honest to God, that woman, her vocals are great. She's so talented. Like, she's just shredding it on the piano. She's dancing. She's so obviously artsy, and her entire production, her costumes, her storytelling, it's just like next to none. There's really no one like Lady Gaga. She is so unique and has been her entire career. And it really translates when she's doing it live. Like, I'm so sorry. If there's only one person you ever choose to see live in this lifetime, I truly think it has to be Gaga. Like, she's sensational. And I'm so devastated that I couldn't see her on this Mayhem tour. But I'm so sorry, Gaga. Like, I could not obviously pay £600 to see you. Like, that was just not happening. So I pray to the gods that in future, Ticketmaster gets a big slap on the wrist, reverts to normal pricing, and I can come see you again, because I'd happily pay up to £150 to come and see you, no problem. So Gaga, she deserves that spot, because what a woman. She's just a queen. I love her. Okay, number two in the concert world. Now we're taking a little bit of a shift here. This is probably my one and only artist that isn't a pop girly that I'm a big fan of and will always give them their props for their shows, and that is Coldplay. Now, let me tell you, Coldplay, I feel like they are a bit of a Marmite band, right? Some people hate them, some people love them. I've always grown up with Coldplay because my dad used to listen to them, and that's how I generally got introduced to them. And let me tell you, they did not disappoint. I think actually Coldplay might be the act that I've seen the most. I think I have seen 4 Coldplay concerts, if I'm not mistaken. All of them massive stadium concerts. And the production level is just wild. Like, it's so cool. It is the coolest concert I think I've ever been to. Just in terms of what it looks like. The confetti cannons, it's like rainbow colours. They throw out these like massive like balloons into the audience. Like, it's just really fun. And they're the first concert I ever went to. And I think, truthfully, they're probably the first act that really made this a very mainstream thing at concerts. But the light up wristbands that every audience member has, and that in itself used to create like an entire light show across the stadium, which is nothing that I'd ever experienced before in a concert. I do think it's probably very fair to credit them for the originality of that. Maybe someone can correct me if there's someone that's done it before that. But on such a large scale like that, I had never personally seen that before. And experiencing it in person is like, whoa, it's next level. It's so magical. Especially when it's that time of night where the lights are going down and it's just a sea of lights and they like match it to go with the songs. So like, for example, they've got a really famous song called Yellow, and then they put the yellow lights on the bands, and they have this amazing song number called Adventure of a Lifetime, which is a really upbeat, like dancey song, and it's just like rainbow colours. Oh, it's just, you just can't really put it into words unless you've been to a Coldplay concert. But it's just fun. It's so fun. So high energy for the most part. And Chris Martin's just like a great front man. He's so positive and bubbly. You can't hate him. He's just such a nice guy. Do you know what though? Little side story time I have to tell you. Oh my God. Let me tell you. I experienced what I think is the most stressful pre-concert experience of my life. The year was, I think, let me think now. Let's say 2018. I might be very wrong there, but it was sort of 18, 19. I'm pretty sure it was. Coldplay were having their summer concerts in Cardiff. It happened to fall like the day before my birthday, so it was a big celebration. It was like, oh my God, please can I get like Coldplay tickets for my birthday? I'd really appreciate that. My parents very kindly, I think, got me the ticket. And so it was like a big, fun family affair. Me and my dad, that's usually like me and my dad's thing, going to the Coldplay concert because of just all the years of us listening to Coldplay songs. And we went to like the first one together. So it's sort of like a nice little memory together. And so it was me and my dad and then some other family members. And it was like in the works for so long. Oh my God, I remember it actually being a real fight to the death to even get tickets for those concerts. Because again, it's just like so many people are wanting to go to these concerts because they're so good. I get the tickets months and months in advance. It's my birthday celebrate. Oh, like you just can imagine the excitement. If you've ever been to a concert in any form of like stadium, like you know that wherever you are, like the city centre, wherever you are, whether it's like Cardiff or Liverpool or whatever, it's a lot going on. It's a lot of people. We're talking like 75,000 people, okay? It's similar energy to like big rugby match days. We head to a little bar beforehand. We'd get a bit of pre-concert atmosphere. Hour later, we're going to go head into the concert, okay? Let's get our spot. We're going to get our little wristbands ready. It's going to be a time. We rock up, not even maybe 30 steps away from the entrance. We quickly stop on the corner because my dad had a hold of all the tickets. He got the 4 tickets. He hands them out. God knows why I did this, but I just sort of popped it in my pocket, which I clearly thought was secure. I think what had happened is my cardigan might have got looped into my pocket and I didn't realise. I take my 20 to 30 steps to the very entrance. I go through the security check or whatever it was you have to go through. I then proceed to go into my pocket to whip... Oh, actually, maybe I didn't go through security at this point, but I was like inches away from going to the barriers, wherever it was. I go into my pocket. The ticket is gone from my possession. Can you imagine the sinking feeling in my stomach at this time? I nearly sobbed on the spot. I was like, it was, I didn't think it was real. I thought, no, surely, no, hang the fuck on, surely not. I'm patting everywhere. I'm frantically looking on the floor. There's thousands of people around me, understandably, because everyone's trying to go into the concert. It's the security area. Everyone's queuing up. My dad and my family, they're all merging into different queues. I'm trying to catch their eye going, wait, don't go in. He's thinking, what's wrong? I am just, my head, I think, is going 1,000 miles an hour at that point because I'm also terrified to tell him that I think I've lost my ticket because I know he's going to be so mad and I'm going to give him a heart attack. But in that moment, it's sort of like fight or flight. I think I was so determined that, like, no, hang on a minute. Just hang on. There's no, like, I literally walked 20 steps from where we just were. There is no way that this ticket is not somewhere here. I literally just had it in my possession. And oh my God, everyone was barging past me. I was staring at the floor like, where's the ticket? Couldn't find it for love nor money. And I find my dad. I'm like, Dad, the ticket just fell out my pocket. I don't know where it's gone. And bear in mind, right, this is a time where physical tickets were much more the norm. We didn't have QR codes and things on apps. Like, that was not the standard back then. So, like, the physical ticket, you bloody needed it. So my dad's fuming, understandably, as am I. We're having a bit of a panic, but also trying to be sensible and figure our lives out. Start retracing all of the 20 steps that we'd just taken. Went back to the very corner spot that we were at when we had the tickets handed to us, and it just literally could not find it for love or money. So then my dad's on the phone to my mum, trying to get hold of, I guess, the email confirmation, trying to figure out if we can get tickets through on that way. It's a real disaster at this point. And I'm thinking, it's over. And there was a point where I accepted defeat. I said, well, that's just it. I said, you're going to be late to the concert. We're cutting it fine. And it was about to start soon. I said, look, Dad, you and the family, you just go. I've seen Coldplay before. It's my fault. Like, what else can I do about it? I think I should just cut my losses. I'm close to the train station. I'm just going to have to go home. Like, I genuinely had resigned to the fact of, like, well, it's over. Like, what am I going to do? I can't afford to buy a brand new ticket, even if they did let me do that. What the hell? You know, these tickets cost like hundreds of pounds. I don't quite recall what happened in that moment, whether someone gave me a pep talk or I just had a bit of a flicker in myself to think, no, come on now, Meg. I think my dad was still on the phone. It was all a bit of a blur, but in the end, I think we decided, right, let's just calm down. Let's go speak to the security and see what we can do here. I think what we were hoping for was a bit of a sob story, and maybe if we showed them the confirmation and proof that, like, we're all here and here's the 3 tickets and we're just missing the one, maybe they'll just let me in. And so that was the last hope, okay? So I thought, oh God, let me look like really sad here. And I was sad, but let me like put it on a little bit, you know. Go up to the security guy. I'm just beside myself. I'm like, sir, can you please help? Here's what's happened. I tell him the story. He's like, oh, hang on a minute. He walks off. I'm thinking, oh my God, is he going to like sort me out? Is he going to like let me in? I'm feeling a little bit hopeful at this point because I thought, well, he hasn't just straight up rejected me. So maybe we're in luck here. I wait a few minutes. I'm, looking at my dad and we're all just sort of looking in angst and worry, thinking, oh God. And we're looking at the clock thinking, we really need to get in. This concert's going to start really soon. The man starts walking back towards me from his little staff hut. I see something in his possession. It looks like he's holding a ticket. So in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my God, is he giving me a ticket? Is this like, he could charge me still for all I know at this point. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm feeling a bit positive because I'm thinking, he's coming towards me with a ticket. This has to surely be a good thing. He then proceeds to ask my dad to see the confirmation again. He's obviously checking the name. He goes, "This is your ticket. It has your name on it." I said, "Excuse me?" I immediately jumped into this man's arms. I said, "Oh my God, can I hug you, please? You're joking me. That's my actual ticket." He was like, "Yes, someone handed it in like not too long ago." I was like, I was so beside myself. I have never felt such joy and elation in a well, I'd never gone from such hopelessness to complete elation in the span of like 5 to 10 minutes, because it all happened quite rapidly. And I was just whoever you were that day, to the human who saw that ticket, picked it up and handed it in like a good Samaritan that you are, I hope you have the greatest life. I hope you get upgraded for free to business class flights for the rest of your life. I wish nothing but good things for you, because that was just fate. That was sensational. And do you know what? That context, it made the concert the best concert I have ever been to. Just the stakes were so high, and then that relief, and we got in, and we were just so happy and relieved that we were all in one piece. We can finally enjoy, and we had standing tickets that time as well, because that was the first time that I'd seen Coldplay standing, because all the previous times I'd been sat. And it just elevated the experience so much more. Me and my dad, we were dancing all night. We were like broken the next day. We were having so much fun. We annoyingly, at the start, because we were so late and had all that palaver, we didn't get the light wristband, which was a bit devastating. But we were dancing so much and having such a fun time that in the end, these ladies that were like in front of us, who very greedily had stolen more lights than they needed to, they were like, "Oh my God, you guys are having the best time. We've noticed you didn't have the light bands. Like, do you want ours?" And we were like, "Yes, please. We'd really like them." And so we just danced the night away, and it was a great time. But yeah, I had never been so stressed in my life, and never have I ever lost a ticket ever since then. Thankfully, they're all on phones these days, but oh my God, that was just too much stress that was not required. And anyway, this brings me finally on to my number one spot. And it's gonna go to Miss Beyonce Knowles. What a woman. What a powerhouse. What a performer. Funnily enough, funny little story to go with this concert too. First time I ever saw her was the London O2. And let me tell you, this is crazy. I went to go see Beyonce in the London O2 for free because I won a pair of tickets. In fact, I won 2 pair of tickets off the back of a packet of chewing gums. Oh my God. They don't do competitions like that anymore, I'm telling you. This was the craziest stroke of luck I think I've ever experienced in my life, besides the Coldplay ticket palaver. I can remember it so clearly. I was a teenager, back when I was living in Pontyclun in my little village. I popped into Pontyclun Spa, as it was back then. I used to have a bit of an obsession with Trident chewing gums. You remember those orange ones that were like really juicy? I don't know that they sell them anymore, but they were my obsession in school. So I pop into the Spa to get my usual pack of orange Trident chewing gums, and they had a competition running on it. It was like free concert tickets to Beyonce. I thought, oh, I'll give it a go. Never won any competition in my entire life. Usually never do that kind of stuff because you think, oh, what are the chances? And it was some kind of thing where you just literally had to type in a code to a website. I think maybe I had 2 packs of Trident, so I entered the code. I won 2 times. I couldn't believe it. I was like, Ma'am, I've won tickets to see Beyonce. This is not a drill. Like, this is not a drill. And the tickets were so good. They were like front row in the middle tier. All we obviously had to pay for was to just go to London, which, you know, back then was probably a big help to not have to pay for the tickets on top of that. And this was, I think, in 2009 when she did the Sasha Fierce tour, which was a great album, like so many hits from that era. And wow, I was blown away. Me and my mum went. Me and my mum were crying tears at the end of this concert. That is how good it was. This was the same year that Michael Jackson had died. Beyonce did this whole segment as a tribute to Michael Jackson. We were all sobbing. Oh my God, it was great. I mean, obviously Beyonce is a complete powerhouse. Like, I don't even feel like you objectively need to be a massive fan of her music to not respect and appreciate that she's just a great, iconic performer. Like, she really knows her craft. Like, that is a boss-ass woman, and I'm a big fan. Her vocals are just sensational. And the amount of, like, dancing and moving she does to keep her vocals that top, I think was what was so impressive about her. Obviously, she has this just amazing aura, like, star power about her when she performs. But the vocals versus the production that you're seeing is just, like, next level. But yeah, ooh, girl, that was a great concert. Like, she really gave me life. So there we go. That's my top 10. So just to rapidly go back through it, it was Alessia Cara at 10, Tori Kelly at number 9, Robbie Williams at number 8, Carrie Underwood 7, Spice Girls number 5. Oh, hang on, have I miscounted that? 5. Oh, I've miscounted this. Hang on a minute. Alessia Cara 10, Tori Kelly 9, Robbie Williams 8, Carrie Underwood 7, 6. Spice Girls 6. I've just forgotten how to count. Britney 5, Tate McRae 4, Gaga 3, Coldplay 2, and the number 1 spot to Beyonce. I think that's a pretty good list, if I do say so myself. I'd love to know if any of you have seen anyone in that concert list. Do you share the same opinions? Maybe you guys could tell me in the list your top 10, if you are a concert person and you've been to a few of them, or maybe a top 5, maybe you haven't been to 10 concerts, but give me like a nice little comprehensive list. I'd love to know your experiences at concerts. I'm going to end off with a few notable shout-outs who didn't quite make the top 10. Gwen Stefani. Now, a bit of a random one, Gwen Stefani. You don't see much of her these days. I don't really know what she does musically anymore, but there was a time where Gwen Stefani was popping off. She was a very big pop girly, but she was really fun. I remember her just being a fun performer. This was the era where she had her album Lamb, I think it's called, Lamb, Love Angel Music Baby. That's like her big hit pop album with songs like what you waiting for, that one. And I recall this concert because she like got off stage at one point randomly and just walked through the crowd with her guitarist, like totally unplanned. I bet her security were thinking, shit. But she was just so casual and fun. She was like, hey guys, just walking through the crowd. So she was really fun. I have memories of that one. I also will give a notable shout out to Katy Perry. I know she's a bit controversial these days, but back in the day when she was smashing out all her hits, California Girls and all the rest of it, she was very impressive, I have to say. I had pretty low expectations for her because I think at the time she'd had a bit of flack for some poor live singing performances, so I was a bit apprehensive thinking, oh, is she going to be a shit? But she really wasn't. She was great vocally. She gave a very classic, like, pop performance. She had really fun visuals and costumes as her staging. So yeah, and it only cost like £40, which felt like kind of a steal for Katy Perry in her prime. And then I'm going to probably just end on some of my worst concerts. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying, in fairness, not necessarily worst concerts because of the artists themselves. Wasn't really anything that they did, but I think it was just the circumstances. My number 1 worst concert experience was, very unfortunately, Kylie Minogue. Icon and a queen. We love Miss Kylie. She's got some bops. But I think it just, all the planning, everything went wrong for that concert. It was years ago when I was younger. Maybe I was like 17 at the time. For some bizarre reason, decided to turn up to that concert far too early. Don't ask me why, because I was never that kind of person, but we just did on this occasion. And I'm talking like 5 hours early, and we were stood in a queue for hours. And it was basically one of those things where by the time we'd gotten into the concert, we were so tired and so exhausted from all the standing. And then annoyingly, she did come on really late. I think she was like an hour late, which didn't help. She had some awful support act. I can't for the life of me remember their name, but it was this really bad girl band who probably don't exist anymore. And they were really bad singers. Like, I'm so sorry, they were so bad from my memory, and I really didn't enjoy them. And I think we were so over it at this point. And then she was late and late and late. And then basically when she finally came on, we were so miserable and tired from the hours before. And I think, truthfully, I just didn't know many of her songs. I don't think she had as many hits as I thought that I knew. And so about an hour in, that is the one and only concert I have ever left early, which I'm so sorry, Kylie. I reckon if I saw you now, I'd be living my best life. But back then, when I was a bit of a moody teen, I was tired. I didn't know many of the songs. I was pissed off that you took an hour to come on stage. The support act was awful. And I think, honestly, at that age as well, I was in an era where I was probably more interested in, like, going out to the club. My next one on the list, unfortunately, is going to be Rihanna, which is quite a shocking statement because, hello, it's Rihanna. But again, I'll be honest, I don't think Rihanna suits a stadium environment. I really don't. And that is where I saw her, in a very big stadium in Cardiff again, like 75,000 people. And she's got hits on hits, and I like a lot of Rihanna's songs. But Rihanna in herself, her performance energy, and you may recognise this if you've ever watched her Super Bowl performance, which is on YouTube, she's very chill. She's a cool gal. Do you know what I mean? She gives a bit of attitude, a bit of sass. But she's not, she's not some Beyonce-esque sass performer. She's not dancing out here. She's just chill. She's like, yeah, and what? She's got that attitude to her, which kind of makes her her. But that does not translate into a stadium. I'm so sorry, it doesn't. Like, you need really big, high performance energy production for stadiums, in my opinion, which is why I feel like the Beyoncés, the Coldplays fit that so well, because they put on a big show. And for me, I just felt like Rihanna was a real subdued experience. I had really high expectations, and I was just a bit disappointed with the lack of energy in her performance. And then, to be honest, on top of that, the main real reason why it was just not fun is because with stadium concerts and certain pop acts, they tend to welcome a certain crowd of people in the audience, and they're usually not the lifelong fans. It'll usually be people just using it as an opportunity to go out on the lash, have a little night out. And so you just had lots of like really insufferable drunk people ruining the experience around you, people getting into fights. I remember it was like me and my mum, and like this row next to us was just a bunch of catty women who were so drunk, and they're all like fighting with each other and like ripping each other's hair out or something. And I'm just like, oh, this is just not the vibes. So very sadly, the Rihanna concert was a big letdown. Another person, again, so shocking for me to say this because I love this person and they're iconic and a great performer and a great singer, is Justin Bieber. Complete same story to the Rihanna situation, just a really bad crowd of people, men fighting in the crowd, ruining the experience. And I think, in fairness to Justin Bieber at that time, bless him, I think this was maybe 2018 or something, he was going through a rough time, I think, in his personal life. And weirdly enough, I think literally after the Cardiff Stadium show that he did, that I saw him in, he like cancelled the rest of his tour because he was really struggling. And you could tell that in the concert. Like, he was really giving subpar energy. You could tell he was probably drained from all the shows he'd done leading up to that point, and obviously probably was not in a good place in his life. And it was a shame because you could feel that in the energy of his performance. Like, I was expecting really high energy. Like, he's a dancer, he's a pop boy, gives us a bit of R&B, like he's a cool dude. But yeah, it was just a little bit of a letdown. So I'm so sorry, Kylie, Rihanna and Bieber, you are in my list of poor concerts. But that is where the list ends, to be fair. I can't, in recollection, think of any other concert that I've come away from and thought, that was shit. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, guys, on that note, that's been a fun little debrief of music and concerts, and I've thoroughly enjoyed sharing my top 10s with you. Like I said earlier on, please let me know in the chats or on socials some of your best concerts that you've been to. Do you even like concerts? I know some people despise concerts. I've always been a concert girly, but I know it's not for everyone. As usual, do not forget to hit that subscribe button, please, or the follow button, wherever platform you're on. I'm on a bit of a mission. We're trying to get on YouTube. It's going to take us a while, but we need to try and get to 1,000 subs. That is the true goal. On my TikTok and Instagram, if I can even get to 100 on there in the next few months, that would be really cool. So please do me a favour and share this episode. Anytime you see any form of social clips or whatever it is I'm sharing, please do interact with it. It really does help me out. I am just like a one-woman show here, independent, doing this all alone. So any sort of support on the socials and sharing it to anyone you know is truly like the best thing you could do to support this. So yeah, thanks so much, girlies, for tuning in with me. I will see you next week for episode 4. Bye!